tourism providers to deliver a high quality and valued tourism experience. We want to contribute with accessibility to make tourism more sustainable. And included in our mission is to make sure that tourism benefits local communities. We see a synergy between making tourism experiences accessible for visitors and enabling local communities to be more accessible for all their citizens. I'm just showing a slide here with 4 random pictures out of 4,000 pictures, if you like, of accessible tourism experiences. People may want to go skydiving, they may want to go to a museum, they may just want to stroll across a European cobbled square and have an ice cream, or they may want to go fishing in Finland with a family where 1 or 2 of the members are disabled. But whatever it is, we're trying to enable tourism to work better throughout Europe and around the world. Everyone needs good access, and we've seen so many examples. I need hardly show you these, but we could also be talking about people with a temporary disability. We could be talking about people with too much luggage, and we could also be talking about somebody who is in a position of danger walking into a glass door because it's not marked with any markings. I'm sure this picture that I'm showing you now of a lady splattering 2 milkshakes was a staged setup. I don't think she was hurt. You know, they say necessity is the mother of invention. And what we want to do with our network is to promote innovation and to promote integration of new solutions here. I think actually the phrase, I'm showing 2 motorcyclists here with a trailer and their grandmother on the back, maybe the phrase should be mother necessitates innovation. But I'd just like to point out why we're here, why accessible tourism and why another network. Why do we need another network now in the tourism sector where there are so many? Largely speaking, it's because the world around us is changing very rapidly, but the tourism sector is not adapting quickly enough to the real changes that are taking place. We know there's a very large disabled population, but the aging population is one of the key mega trends of the coming decades. It's been pointed out by the consulting company Accenture as first and foremost trend, the aging population. And they add growing resource scarcity, exploding technology advances and emerging markets. But all these trends are going to shape our lives in the coming years. And the one that you know about accessibility, disability increasing, the frequency of disability increasing with age, is clearly a challenge for everyone. And people need to find out how to deal with that. So when we think about disability in particular, we've heard a lot in the present conference about the impact of disability on taking holidays. There is a wide range of impacts depending on the level of functionality or functional impairment. And we see the access or accessibility market as being partly specialist, but also part of every other market. We need to bring accessibility into every other market. And we don't deny that there has to be a specialist provision for accessible, making tourism accessible across information, transport, services, and in the public realm. It's about creating a sense of experience and place in all the areas of holiday experience. And you know perhaps this model, which is the visitor journey, from the traveling decision to making the booking and travel destination. All these things, traveling to the destination, need to be accessible. And within this, as you go through the visitor journey, a key factor is to have information at all points to get you back to the beginning again. Reliable, accurate information. We are working as a network trying to integrate vertically, if you like, from tourism businesses who are the backbone of the tourism delivery system right up to international level, where policy decisions influence what happens even right down at the lower level. So it's a matter of getting integration between these levels. It's also about balance. We want to find ways to identify good practices which give value to visitors, but are also achievable, which doesn't really appear very well on the slide, but achievable for organizations, because you cannot have everything all at once. We need to balance there we are. We came back to the mission again. Right, I'm going to talk just shortly about how many we are, who we are. We have 200 members in almost 30 countries around the world. Tourism businesses make up a large part of our membership, over half, public sector and NGOs about a third. But we're actually represented on every continent. And to characterize ENAT, I would say we are a multi-stakeholder organization. We want to embrace all those who share our mission. So it doesn't matter which background you come from. We're also a non-profit organization because we see this as a public-oriented mission to change things, to help through collaboration and to work at a pan-European level, to move forward with our opening to the world and explaining to the world what's happening in Europe is something that people everywhere should be taking note of. Our activities can be listed here if they're coming. We focus a lot on information and communication. We gather information, we distribute information through our website, and part of that mission is to raise awareness or promote accessible tourism through also political lobbying. We're cooperating with many different partners from the United Nations World Tourism Organization, which is an honorary member of our association, right through to local organizations and municipalities. Our main focus is on business-to-business networking, or business-to-public sector networking. And we are focusing very much on delivering information, knowledge to people who need it. We don't have a public-facing website where you can book holidays, but I can tell you I get telephone calls and emails all the time from people who need these services. We point them on to our members and say, yes, we have a member in Turkey who can help you with that, or we have a member in Portugal. But that's something we're thinking about in the future, to bring a lot of this information to the customers. So we're advising and partnering public authorities and agencies. As I said before, innovation is very important in this field, and it's something that sometimes gets lost. We look for good practices, but we don't always try to foster innovation, and I think we need the public sector to lead on this and to encourage innovation through prizes and through incentives for good design and innovation in new services and new facilities. We're focusing also on quality, standards and good practices. I'll tell you one little thing about that in a moment. And we're conducting research and development, and we do training for destinations and for enterprises. So in terms of our research, information, training and support, we have one product at the moment which is called the ENAT Code of Good Conduct, which you can sign up to, a commitment label indicating that you are a responsible and reliable partner for anyone working in accessible tourism. We're working now on 2 research studies for the European Commission, which you may have heard about if you were here in the session, on mapping the training and skills requirements for accessible tourism and mapping the supply of accessible tourism in the European Union, 28 member states. These are important studies because they will set a new benchmark, along with a 3rd study which is about the demand for accessible tourism and economic benefits. These 3 studies will set a new benchmark for where we are today and how we implement actions for improving tourism accessibility in the future. We are also in the process of creating, this is a rather important one, an accreditation system for national and regional accessibility information schemes. Many of you have your own accessibility information schemes. We do too. We made one 5 years ago called europeforall.com. But what we see now is that there are so many schemes that someone has to take the responsibility of deciding which of these schemes are really working and are trustworthy and reliable, and which need to come up to a higher standard. So we are trying to implement this as an accreditation system, which is voluntary, of course, but which will enable a scheme to focus on the exact information that is required for the customers, and also we will then provide you with a web platform to publicize your scheme. We will continue with advice, training and policy development, and the fifth point I have on this slide is that we are hoping to launch a SEN workshop on the universal design of tourism services. This is a standing workshop. It lasts about 18 months to develop a guideline on universal design of tourism services. We've been negotiating this on and off with the Commission since 2008. But the main purpose of this workshop is to come forward with some guidelines for the tourism sector so that we can break this terrible circle of not having information which is based on consensus about what is accessible, what is an accessible service, and how do you deliver it. So with this guideline, which will be an international workshop, not just European, anyone can participate from all over the world, we will develop a guideline which will also be published free of charge as a PDF document that you can download on the internet. So we're hoping for the funding within the next 2 or 3 months, and then we will invite you all to take part in this process. And of course we have our European and global networking, and one of the key points about this is that next year in October, you may have seen this slide before from Isabelle Ducharme, the Kerul organization is organizing the world's first Destinations for All Summit in Montreal in October. We are co-chairing this event, and we would like to see participants from all over the world coming together to cement our network. We've been the glue for a long time now, and for 5 years in Europe, but I think we really need to get some cement and create a global network so that we can coordinate our standards, our guidelines, and work towards common solutions. Like the lady that we use very often in our training videos and our training presentations, we're smiling to you and we're saying, welcome to ENAD. The key thing about providing an accessible and hospitable service is that you have to ask people, how can I help you? And really, that's what I'm here for. That's what we're asking you. How can we help you? Let us know. Become a member, and we'll take it from there. Thank you.
Muchas gracias. Thank you very much, Ivor. Next experience about network is from Maria Orejas from Brussels. She's the director of thematic networks of this European Center, and she's going to talk us about the League of Historic Accessible Cities. Hello, thank you for inviting us to take part in this interesting congress. This is an association of foundations, of active foundations, which give finance to different associations from more than 40 countries. We have here members from all those 40 countries. Within this European Center, we have this thematic networks. We have 13 networks working in those challenges in which foundations usually give funds. It's from scientific researches, gypsies networks, women networks, and we have a special net working for disabilities that came from the Convention of the United Nations meeting about disabilities. We wanted to give a response, and the fact of creating and add value. For example, this year we have published an European study about the impact of the measures, those economic measures that we are having nowadays in Europe and relating to people with disabilities. We want to generate more add value because all the European countries have some kind of accessibility laws, but maybe they are not very good implemented. So we wanted to support in order to apply accessibility in the day-by-day life. We decide to work with an example because we think it is possible to combine rights in order to make possible to enjoy the cultural heritage by all of us. Here we start with this project, the League of Historic Accessible Cities. Currently we have 6 European cities. We have a good geographical representation. I think you cannot say it very well. We have, of course, Avila City. We are so lucky of having this city because it has inspired us a lot. We have Toulouse in France. We have Denmark, as we saw before in the round table. We have Turin, Lucca, and Sozopol from Bulgaria. We have 11 foundations. Within them, we have the great experience of ONCE Foundation, and we have also a consulting company, Via Libre, which support us to define the common methodology. And of course, we were really lucky because we had the support and help of Ivor in order to define the. When we create this project, we had a humble start. We just thought about a kilometer in order to make it possible for wheelchair users, and we thought that maybe for local authorities that would simplify the politic willing of doing it. The idea went much more further. For example, Toulouse has refurbished rebuilt the whole historic center. We never thought we were going to be able to get the agreement with the local authority. So once we got that agreement, we can make it wider than a kilometer. So you can have a look to the project in the European Center webpage. We have a special website for the project. How being in network has benefited us? Without that, we wouldn't be able to achieve all our goals without this networking. It would have been impossible to make through some projects. To start, we had some resources, knowledge resources, expertise resources, and financial resources that we have learned a lot about accessibility because it's something like very local, really, and we had the possibility of sharing experience about accessibility with other cultures in other countries. That was really enriching, that really helped us to think in more ways, more further than the logic usual way of thinking. We learn about different ways of how to reach the same output from different points. We have overpassed a lot of obstacles, and above all, that allow us to put all this knowledge, this individual knowledge, together in a good practice manual that we hope it will be very inspiring for other countries, for other cities. And of course, the fact of being a local project but having the support of other European actors help us a lot. I am going to give you another example about how it has helped us to overpass obstacles, the fact of working in net. So some partners working in the project, they wanted to finance some projects, but they couldn't find any city who wanted the help. So in one of these meetings, they saw the example of big work. They saw they had already created a consortium, a public consortium. So this French lady thought, oh, that is such an interesting idea. Instead of asking the cities, I have to do as the Danish people did. I have to make people willing to work with us. So once in France, she built a high-level team with a lot of foundations on it, and since then this group started studying the accessibility level of different French cities, and since then they saw that this city of Mulhouse had done a lot of work, but without a good communication. So they improved the communication throughout this team. Then we said, yes, we choose it. We choose your city as the one we want to work with. So that was a way of learning in order to overpass obstacles. So also different ways to get to the same results. The case of Viborg was special. They had 4 foundations, and they had, in this case, there was no so much financial help, so we could negotiate with Luca Town Hall.
Personas con discapacidad de la ciudad.
They work with local disabled people organization, and they work to improve the life of and the quality of life in the heritage cities. After reaching an agreement with all the civil society and reaching a common vision on the project, they went to see the city councillors. The presentation is not working, you cannot see it. So the project started humbly. It was just 1 kilometer. They wanted to do some small things, and we get to 50 people working, 30 accessibility experts, different associations, but a lot of interventions, physical interventions, have been carried out. They carried out training activities. A lot of agreements have been reached with the private stakeholders, restaurants, hotels. There was a complete chain of accessibility. And we've managed to use 8 million euros. At the beginning, we had 20 million for the project. So working in network helped us, enabled us to do a lot more things. We have developed 14 technological tools. When it wasn't possible to carry out the physical interventions, we have used technology so that people can have a pleasant experience, so that they can be able to enjoy. A success criteria of the project was the European methodology. That was a global methodology. But the local methodology was completely different. We haven't intervened. They have the civil society, the disabled sector, is completely integrated, and they are convinced this is the best solution to improve the quality of life in their cities. I think this is a good example that a lot of things can be done, is above all in these crisis times, austerity times, when we can see that accessibility sometimes is considered as luxury. It's an investment, and it's an efficient gesture, because we offer service to the citizens. Thank you. Thank you, Maria. It's very illustrative what you have been telling us. We change continent and we go to America. And Araceli Sanchez and Wilson Castellanos Parra are going to tell us on the universal accessibility. Araceli is works for the Spanish Agencies for International Development Cooperation. We thank them for the long journey. Thank you. Thank you. I want to thank the organizers. It's the first time I'm on a stage like this, and I am pleased. We work on international development cooperation. I come here to present an initiative that is the result of an agreement between the Spanish Agency for International Development Cooperation, an agreement signed in 2007, in which we tackle accessibility and inclusive design. In 2009, we signed an agreement with the Real Heritage, with an association of disabled people, to include this inclusive overview as a result of these collaborations. In 2011, we celebrated in Cartagena de Indias in Colombia a seminary in which we created an Ibero-American network of universal accessibility. And I'm going to stop here. I want to introduce the person who coordinates the network. It is very important because they work on different aspects and they need an external outlook and they also need support. Wilson, please. Thank you. The other presentation. Well, thank you, Araceli. It's an honor. It's very pleasant to be here on this stage in this Congress. It's my first time in Europe. After listening to the presentations, I can ratify the need to keep dreaming and keep working in Latin America and to keep building a more inclusive and territory. I want to thank ONCE, and I want to thank some people who have made everything possible so that I can be here. Noelia Cuenca from the City Council of Avila, and ACS Convention, Francisco Monasterio. Thank you very much for being here. Karina, as part of the network, Gustavo, who is also present here. It's an honor. I'm Colombian, and I'm very proud of it. We are more or less 40 million Colombians. We are hardworking people, and we struggle hard, and we dream of a better country. I am in charge of the coordination of the Ibero-American Network of Universal Accessibility, and this is our experience we want to share with you. I'm going to start with some basic concepts. It is a collective strategy. It allows to give solutions for specific problems, and we share responsibilities, knowledge and resources. The Ibero-American Network on Universal Accessibility has something which is a collective interest. We have an oriented chart. This document I'm going to present, this is a manifest on Ibero-American Manifest on Universal Accessibility. I'm going to talk a little bit in more detail. Our purpose is to introduce, implement collective solutions for. We have an organizational structure, a flexible organizational structures. We try to use technological resources, ICTs. We are an open mechanism. This is a strategy more than a structure, more than an organization, a non-governmental organization. We are working strategy more than that. We collaborate. We don't compete. We are not a competitive organization. We have different interests in exchange of information. We want to create knowledge. It's not working. Okay. The Ibero-American RED on universal accessibility has an interesting background. We carried out seminars on universal accessibility supported by Spanish organizations developed that have been taking place since 2005 in different Latin American cities, La Habana, Mexico, Montevideo, Cartagena de Indias, Lima. These events allowed us to grow in terms of disability. They have been very important to us. Participating in these events has been an important issue for us. The network was born on the 7th of April 2011 in Cartagena de Indias, a human heritage city in Colombia. Here you can see, I invite you to visit Cartagena. It's a paradise. We carried out a seminary. Here you can see a photo of all the participants. These seminaries were supported, or only supported, by the Spanish Agency for International Development Cooperation, Disabled Organizations, and ACS Foundation. In 2011, at the end of the seminary, we produced a document. We all signed, 53 delegates from 14 Ibero-American countries, and we call the document an Ibero-American Manifest on Universal Accessibility. And this is the political support, the ideological support, the orientation support. And we also talk about accessibility in Latin America, and we commit to do certain things. On the other hand, we committed to keep exchanging experiences, and we also committed to create the Ibero-American Network on Universal Accessibility, AUN. One of our first actions that we carried out, it's like a baby. It's a very small project, but we are growing. We have already carried out some actions. We have agreed the first thing we did was to identify a corporate image. We talk about, in Latin America, as you know, we can talk about diversity in different aspects, in different areas, ways of being, behaviors, contexts. We use primary and secondary colors for the design of our logo. And you can see there a wheelchair. We created a design of the manifest. We disseminated it. We produced a video that we disseminated used on the social networks. We created a virtual group called Red Aún group that enabled us to exchange information. we summarize 5 significant experiences that are available on the website. Another important element is that we tried to visualize in different documents and presentations the support and the different aims of the network. We have created, each country has implemented projects, but they have used the network logo. For the Queen Sofia Awards that the Spanish agency confers, awards on universal accessibility. There is one award for Latin American municipalities, and we have disseminated the awards through our network, and we technically supported the nominalization of 2 municipalities in Colombia, and we supported and helped them to structure their documents for the awards. In 2011, we organized a seminary on accessibility, and then in 2012 in La Antigua, in Guatemala, a human heritage city, which I also invited to visit, Lima. We were in Lima in 2013 on another seminary on universal accessibility, and we actively participated. What we do, we carry out some visits. There are some workshops. You can see images in Cartagena visiting the walls. And a practical exercise, we handed out some of the human heritage buildings, and the team, all the participants from Ibero-American participants, between 50 and 60 participants, we started to make proposals for the different cities. As Latin Americans as we are, we like to be together, we like to talk, we like having direct contact. So we find spaces, we find areas in each seminary to be together, and we have made some exchanges possible. We have proposed some events. Another important element, I am convinced that we have learned a lot during these seminaries, and that has enabled us to make changes in our countries. There are specific workshops, awareness workshops, skill workshops in different countries, in all the countries where we are present. We also have a declaration. This is a strategy, a common strategy, to articulate public and private initiatives to make Ibero-American countries accessible through knowledge and information exchange on issues related to universal accessibility. It is supported by a manifest, and we use technologies. We want to consult all the participants in our network. We have proposed 4 strategical working lines: good practices exchange, training, research, awareness, raising awareness, and dissemination. And there is some thematic areas such as heritage, accessible heritage, buildings, urbanism, transport, natural landscape, cultural landscape, technology. And we are invited here as an important element as the issue we are tackling today is tourism. We are working with a consulting commission, which is the Spanish organization agency, ACS Foundation, and the Royal Organization of Disabled People. There is a general coordination, and this is my responsibility now. We are proposing coordinating commissions for each strategic line. We propose for a specific delegate to be in charge with different aspects of our work. Now, we are structuring the national hubs, and there will be national hubs in each country. Nowadays, we have 33 institutions and organizations related or adhered to the network from Colombia, Spain, Costa Rica, Argentina, Mexico, Ecuador, Panama, Brazil, Uruguay, Guatemala. There is a delegate for each country. We work virtually. Here is a video, short video, in which you will have information on our manifest. While it starts, aún, universal accessibility, Ibero-American network. It took place from 4th to the 7th of April 2011. Thank you. Of Ministry of Work and Social Issues, the Spanish Agency on International Development Cooperation, and ACS Foundations, where took places delegates from 14 countries, taking into account that human rights are guaranteed, recognizing that the wealth of our countries is of all and for all, and accessibility contributes to comfort, safety, development, and inclusion. We are aware that accessibility must be incorporated into all the development proposals, and we recognize that accessibility is a growth and development opportunity. We appreciate the efforts in terms of accessibility, and we take the challenges in order to have territories for everybody. We ask governments to introduce into their policies and plans accessibility. We ask universities to introduce universal accessibilities. We ask the community and its organizations to participate and to support initiatives on accessibility, universal accessibility. We ask all entities, all agencies to comply with all regulations on accessibility. We motivate governments to take actions on education and accessibility. We invite cooperation agencies to require, for the project they support, accessibility to be taken into account. The people in charge with the manifest, we decided to create the Ibero-American Red on Universal Accessibility, AUN, and to institutionalize the seminary on universal accessibility and to disseminate and manage the manifest, and to exchange experiences and application of accessibility alternatives. Universal accessibility, many countries took place: Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, Costa Rica, Chile, Ecuador, Spain, Guatemala, Mexico, Panama, Peru, the Dominican Republic, Uruguay, Venezuela. Thank you very much, Wilson. We have given you a little more time. You have come a long way, and it is very important for us to listen to you.
Okay, now we start with our national experience. Now Israel Muñoz will speak about the World Heritage Cities of Spain. He comes from Avila. He is the Secretary of the Accessibility Commission of World Heritage Cities of Spain, Group 2008-2012. Thank you very much, Pilar, for your introduction. I will try to be brief. Well, as you know, we have talked about Avila a lot during this Congress. It is a pleasure being in this round table because Avila participates in many networks. I want to greet all the town hall councillors, the city our group, World Heritage Cities of Spain, is a group that gathers together next cities. Well, you can see them: Alcalá de Henares, Ávila, Cáceres, Córdoba, Cuenca, Ibiza, Mérida, Santiago of Compostela, Segovia, and Toledo. What are the common points? All of them have been declared World Heritage Cities. This group was founded 20 years ago here in Avila, and that's why here in Avila it stays the General Secretary of the group at the palace that you can see here at the Verdugo Palace in Avila. Here it took place also the 15th anniversary. The other picture. Among the main objectives is to act jointly to defend the heritage, the historical heritage of the cities, to defend the common interest, to find solutions, and to promote equality and cultural tourism through all these cities. As you can see, there are two important words as heritage, the champion of the heritage, and also cultural tourism. There are two very close words, and we want to add a third one, which is accessibility. Currently, our group is formed by three big commissions. During the first period, there were several commissions with different technicals, giving all the information to all the majors assembly. But since January 2013, we have a new structure. It's three commissions: Tourism and Promotion, Heritage and City Commission, and Education and Culture Commission. We wanted to make quicker actions in order to implement the policies. Nowadays, our job within our group is the group of work on accessibility and mobility is within our second commission. There is an important date in order to talk about accessibility within our group. Is the 25th February 2008. That day, it was set up here in Avila as well, the Accessibility Commission. It's not that we want to do everything in Avila, but it's because the boost to this commission was given by the Avila's mayor. That's why the president of the commission and the secretary of the commission stayed in this city, Avila. Among the objectives developed by the Commission. I want to point out two questions. It was created as a good practice forum, and we want to look for joint solutions and to carry on common projects. Maybe the most important that we can talk about this morning is to speak about these projects. First one was from 2008. We have analyzed the accessibility of the interesting points of each one of the 13 cities of the group. The Via Libre is one of the companies taking part into the ONCE group, made this analysis, this evaluation. We have been evaluating the main problems about accessibility in those tourist centers, the most visited ones. We followed the information that was provided through the Tourism Information Office. So we didn't want to create an itinerary, or we didn't want to detect what the establishments or the monuments more accessible. No, we wanted to know the accessibility level in the most visited monuments. It didn't go further more, but it was an internal document for us to work with. Later on, and in cooperation with Via Libre, we made the drafts. With these drafts, we wanted to unify the whole regulation, all the laws about accessibility, which had each one of those municipalities, because we have national rules, but also local rules and the small and city rules. In most of the cities, we couldn't be able to implement these drafts because, as you know, right now there is not an equality in regulations. We have the national law, among them the technical code of building, which is so wide, so many measures within it. And on the other hand, we have the regional regulations. Those are more or less implemented, but there are different wideness of ramps, for example. In the autonomous regulation maybe is 120, and in the technical code is a different figure. So this is something depending on the city halls. In the case of Avila, we haven't started because of what I'm saying. Due to the heritage character of the cities, we asked to an analysis of the accessibility of the heritage in order to find common points in all those regulations in order to make possible the adaptations in monuments. But it's not all about evaluations. It's not just technical documents, but from our group, we wanted to show to everyone how are our towns and cities in terms of heritage. That's why we have organized 2 different meetings, one in Segovia in 2010, and the second one in April this year in Cáceres. But because this Congress is about Tourism Congress, we had to bring here something about tourism. So our work in terms of accessibility, from the very first moment, we wanted to boost tourist routes for all. This is the useful information guide for people with disabilities. You can find it in our website, ciudadespatrimonio.org. We made it in 2010 together with Predif, with a descriptive methodology. We don't give valorations, we just give detailed information that we got from the analysis of the establishment, so that the disabled person can decide if it is adequate for this person or not. This route is making wider with the analysis of other monuments. We were looking for the most accessible one and the closest to the route in order to put them together. With all this, what we want is that the Spanish World Heritage Cities, we want to make them an accessible tourism destiny. You can see a picture from our web. Okay, because we are in Ávila, we continue talking about Ávila. Maria Orejas was talking about this accessible kilometer from the League of Historical Cities, and also is the same route. The route is the same with the one from the lake. It's a route starting from the visitors reception point. It's the green point you can see on the map, and we are going to do a short tour through images, because you had the opportunity of visiting them during these 2 days. Here is the visitor reception point with the models, the magnetic loop. Then we continue at the St. Vincent's Basilica and the environment, which is completely adapted through the ramps. Inside the basilica, we can see the model. Also, we can see the gardens of San Vicente. I think the remote control is not working anymore. Through this route, we bring the visitors to the cathedral squares, the pedestrian streets, through Caballero Street, Pedro de Ávila. The traffic is shared there, is half pedestrian. Through the Rastro Avenue, which is a pedestrian one. And then we would reach the convent of Saint Therese, which has been also adapted thanks to ACS Foundation, and now is accessible. We want to make this route wider. It's already a reality. We can make the whole tour of the wall. That's why during this Congress we have opened this route, which was a new route thanks to the agreement between IMSERSO and ONCE Foundation. Well, I have nothing else to say. You have the images there. So you can have further information in the website of ciudadespatrimonio.org. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you, Israel. Now, Juan Manuel García Piñeiro is technical director from Malaga. I think this network you are going to talk about is the youngest one. thank you to the ONCE Foundation.
Thank you for the opportunity to show you what we have been doing and what we intend to do. This proposal came up in the second Universal Forum that was held in Malaga. We wanted to organize a third forum, and we analyzed why we couldn't do it, why we couldn't carry out the network. And we found out some interesting things when defining what we understand by managing a network. So we need a network is a place from where we want to make changes. So we have to try to create open networks, because it seems that it's quite difficult to become part of a network. And we wanted to change that. We wanted to change the first proposal produced in the second Universal Forum, and we wanted to create an inclusion space so that we can make changes, because in any city all over the world, accessibility actions are carried out, but if we start from the requirements, it is difficult to find stakeholders who want to get involved into the projects related to accessibility. Well, here's a definition of the network, an exchange space, an exchange area. We're running late. How we define a network? It's a concept from the academic point of view, and we had to incorporate collaboration, how we understand that we have to structure the activity of the network. There is a need to include multiple stakeholders, different stakeholders, local authorities, stakeholders that couldn't find their place, they couldn't find room into these networks. There is a need for continuous interaction, to exchange information, experience, to develop strategic lines, common actions. A network must be alive. A network that reunites, gets together once a year is very difficult to be able to carry out any activities. A network must work all along the year. We need active elements. It must be present in different communities. It must carry out activities in different sectors. Sometimes it's not very easy to carry out all these kinds of activities. It must be reliable, it must be based on conversation, dialogue, and trust. The dialogue must be present on a daily basis. The challenge we are proposing we want to get together to multiply. We want to have common answers, common solutions. We want to have dialogue. We want to work on informative elements and communication elements. We want to take advantage of the existing resources. In networks, the objective is not to make the network functional, is to make the objective real, to make it a reality. It doesn't matter whether a network functions well. The important thing is whether we can achieve goals. We are interested in what we can, on our impact outside. We don't work with conceptual definitions. We base on the dialogue and not on the specialization. And we work with three concepts: active participations of all the stakeholders, and I mean all the stakeholders. We are based on multiple relations and not on vertical relations, because this may create barriers for the dialogue. So we must facilitate dialogue and the exchange of experiences. It must be a transversal process in the process and in the actions. And finally, what we propose is this. I can't read it. And this is my presentation. The idea is to organize on the around 3rd of December this year, a meeting between all the cities and in which anyone who could be interested in being part of the network could write a letter to the City Council of Malaga, sorry. That is all. Thank you, Juan Manuel. This is a new network, but I think this is a very important one, and it's an important contribution. And to finish this roundtable, which is the last one, Pete Kerchev from Italy, who is very international, is going to explain us the network Design for All Europe.
I'm sorry, I'm going to speak in English, which is my first language, because it's a bit complicated with Spanish.
If I stand up, because I've been sitting on this thing for a long time, and believe me, this is not Design for All. About as uncomfortable as it can get, and my back is hurting, so I'll stand around the back here. I think, apart from the last speaker, my attitude is a little bit different to the understanding I had when I was asked to speak here. Because my understanding was, please talk about networks, the importance of networking, and give your organization as an example. So I will use the organization as an example, but I shall talk about networking and its importance, because that's what we're supposed to be doing here. In a conference. We are supposed to be networking between organizations and creating synergies and building bridges and making new projects and proposals. So, let me start with a little background about what is my organization, EIDD, Design for All Europe. Maybe just as a little bit of further explanation to what the moderator said to begin with, I should explain to you why I'm speaking English with this accent when I live in Italy. Well, it's because I'm half English and I'm half German, but I've been living in Italy for over 30 years. So the only way to describe me probably is sort of Western European, vaguely. Now, EIDD was established in 1993, 20 years ago, in Dublin, and its name, which gave us the current acronym, was European Institute for Design and Disability. This came from a very clear intuition from our founder, President Paul Hogan, who is with us here today, that design is an essential tool to make life easier for everybody, for disabled people in the first instance. But of course, when we started working with it, it didn't take very long to understand that that's only part of the picture, and that you get an awful lot more, you can achieve a great deal more if you design for everybody. If you include human diversity from the very beginning in the design process. In fact, if we design only for identifiable segments of the population, whether it's disabled people or elderly people, oh, and by the way, there's no such thing as one segment of disabled people, as we all know, because people don't have that much in common. But supposing we were to do this, it's the fastest and most secure way to create new exclusion and new disabilities, new social exclusion. It's not the right way to go at all. And this has to be a very strong message also for everybody working in the area of tourism. If we're going to be truly inclusive, it has to be for all, not for disabled. The message was already underlined yesterday by Peter Neumann and the day before by Finn Petren, and I feel it's incumbent on me to underline that message again because it really is of crucial importance. It was because we realized that design for all is the most important aspect of the design process that we changed the name in due course and became EIDD Design for All Europe. We are an organization, now a federal organization with members in 23 countries. We are moving towards having 40 member organizations, and I'll show you what they are in a moment. We're a recognized partner of the European Commission. We work in a dialectic relationship with the European Commission, which means that we sometimes have quite different opinions from those purveyed by the European Commission. And we believe that we spearhead new developments, and we say so, rather than following them. And this means that we don't get very much money from the European Commission, because very often in the European Commission people do not like being told that we think they're wrong. It means we don't have much money, but we do everything we do on a voluntary basis. We are co-founders, along with many others, of the European Disability Forum, but we are not an organization of disabled people. And for that reason, we do not take an active part in the management of the European Disability Forum, but we provide the consultancy as and when it's asked for in the area of design. It's most important that we do not take part in the management, because we believe that the EDF is the parliament of the European disabled people's movement, and therefore it should be run by disabled people. Where am I now? Let's see if it's working. Okay, at the moment we have 36 members in 23 European states, as I said. They are some associations established primarily to work in the area of design for all, but also we have lots of different kinds of members. We have designers associations, the professional designers in several countries. We have design promotion centers. We have innovation centers. Especially one we have here in Spain, for example, the Creativity Centrum in Bilbao. We have schools and universities, because we need to keep teaching the next generations, of course. We have associations of people with disabilities. We have foundations. We have cities, and we have design museums. What this tells you is that we are open to membership from any form of association or body which believes that design for all can make a difference, or which receives the message that design for all can make a difference, and is prepared to commit sufficiently to become an active member of our organization. And of course this means that we can be quite widespread as well. At the moment, this is the geographical map of where our members are located. One red dot may stand for more than one member, in fact. The map shows, and I'll explain for those who don't see it, that around Europe the members are quite well distributed, from the extreme northeast in Finland and the extreme southeast down in Istanbul, going right down to Lisbon and up in the northwest to Dublin. We constitute the bridge between the Design for All community and all others. What does that mean? It means that we act as a pathfinder. A lot of people believe that design can change the world, but don't do anything about it, and then complain when the rest of the world doesn't understand designers. Well, we believe that it's our responsibility to go and tell those other people what we can do for them, to act proactively, to break open new fields, and to introduce applications, the theory and practice of design for all, in all sorts of different areas. In order to do that, one of our tools is the organization of conferences where we study and disseminate design for all in different sectors. This list now actually includes this conference here as well. I've taken the liberty of including it as the latest one on the list. Most of them, though, the other ones are all organized by us. So I've taken the liberty of adding this one as a place where there is also a degree of dissemination about design for all going on. I won't read through this because this list will in any case be in the minutes, in the proceedings of the conference, and it would just be boring for you and take up extra time, and we're running late anyway. But the title I'm using here, though, is meta projects. And the principle of a meta project is that we are using a project form, a design form, to change how things happen. Now, on this side, I've made the title Meta Projects for Tourism and Culture, and I'm listing the sort of things that we do. And these are just examples. We have started working with the European Capitals of Culture, not with all of them. Not all of them are receptive to the message of design, and not all of them are receptive to the message of social inclusion. But those that are receive our assistance and our interest. And we started with an activity in Vilnius in 2009, and we continued with a very successful project involving many of our members, which lasted for 1 year in the framework of Tallinn in 2011. We've done the same with the World Design Capitals in Bologna in 2008 and again in Helsinki in 2012. The World Design Capital, for those of you who don't know, is something that happens once every 2 years, and it's something a little bit like the European Capital of Culture, but its focus is on all the different uses and aspects of design for improving the quality of life for people, and of course it's of great interest to us to ensure that the message of improving the quality of life for people through design translates into design for all, social inclusion, human diversity. You may notice that there is one missing there, 2010, but that's because 2010 was Seoul in Korea, and we are a European organization on a voluntary basis with a very small budget, and so we focus on working in Europe. It would be very nice if we could also go and work in South America, in Latin America, for example. Maybe one day we'll be able to do that too. But at the moment, we have to focus here on the European dimension simply because of the lack of funding that forces us to stay here. We network with the European institutions, as I said before, often on a dialectic basis. At the Commission, we have a relationship with DG Enterprise, with DG Education and Culture, a rather strong one in that case. With DG Connect, we have good relations with DG Regio and with DG Justice, sometimes dialectic relationships. At the Parliament, we are a member of the Urban Intergroup. I don't know if you know how that functions. The intergroups in the European Parliament are groups which are constituted by members of the different parliamentary groups, and that's why it's called intergroup. And any member of the European Parliament can create a group on the basis of finding an area of common interest. The urban intergroup is the one which is focusing on the city as the place where the majority of European people live. So I would recommend to you, all of you working in the area of tourism for all, to get in contact also with the urban intergroup, because the idea of making the cities, the locations of tourism accessible is very similar to the idea of what we are doing, of making them accessible and making them better places for better quality of life for everybody in any case. We are also working with the Economic and Social Committee and the Committee of the Regions. These are things which we are just starting now. And of course, we also have the Council of Europe in Strasbourg, which has also just recently, in the last couple of years, opened a regional office in Venice. And with the network of intercultural cities, with the WTO and with UNESCO. These are our aspirations now. In Europe, we have a crisis. But a crisis doesn't necessarily have to be bad. It can also bring opportunities. Our Greek friends will probably tell us the etymological origin of the word crisis, which means change. Culture can be a driver for sustainable economic growth. Tourism can also be a driver for sustainable economic growth. Human diversity can be, if we understand it and use our design abilities. Social inclusion is a driver for sustainable economic growth. All of these things, which are seen as problems by our governments, are actually great opportunities for all of us. All we have to do is put them together and build synergies. Think laterally, multilaterally, and profit from the change instead of seeing it as being a devil. We need to design for change. We need to design for everybody, design for all. Design for all is design for human diversity, social inclusion and equality. We coined this simple one-line definition in the Stockholm Declaration in 2004. And that is all I'm going to say now, except for one more thing, which I made a note of before. And if I can see this without my glasses. It's, I think, it's an ethical point that I wanted to make at the end of my short presentation. If we are networking, it's about giving and taking. We have to give and take, and we have to compromise. We can compromise by losing, or we can compromise by trying to find the positive aspects and winning. Now, as I was asked to talk about networking and the importance of networking, I wanted to finish on a positive point in this respect. Networking should be the way in which we can create a win-win situation for everybody. And that requires design thinking, strategic design thinking. That, too, is part of the Design for All agenda. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you to all the speakers. As always, we are short of time. Time is an enemy. Even if we don't have time for questions. I'm so sorry. Speakers will be around. So if you want to speak with them, and also conclusions, we don't have time for the conclusions. They will be uploaded to the web page, and now we are going to close. Thank you very much to all the participants and to the organizers. Thank you very much.